He plays with the sheep. He grows up with the sheep. You getting me? He starts to think like a sheep, although he's a dog. And so, when he grows up, if another dog who looks just like him comes near to the sheep, he will attack and kill that dog because he might be a dog, but he's thinking like a sheep. That's how you make a sheepdog. So, it stands to reason then that if you take some of us away from the poor and those people who suffer in this world, and you bring us into the lap of luxury, and we go to the best schools, we don't see them. We drink the DNA of Yale and Harvard and the other schools, and we grow up in privilege. We don't have to deal with those poor people. Then, when people start to say, they are your brothers and sisters, you will fight against them. Because although you might be a human being in your physical, you think you're better than them. So we too are like sheepdogs. Don't miss it. I want you all to know that if we start thinking that we are better than other people because of what we have or what we do or where we live or who we are, the titles that we have, we begin to think like a sheepdog, and you will strike against your own brother and sister who is forcing you to see them. Are you with me, church? Are you with me? Verse 13, read with me. When he went out the next day, he saw two Hebrews fighting. And he said to the one who was in the wrong, "Why do you strike the Hebrew?" One Hebrew striking another Hebrew. You know what they were doing? They were fighting the wrong enemy. Because the enemy wasn't the Hebrew. The enemy was the Egyptian. But when you start to think in an oppressive way, you start to fight one another. And that is fighting the wrong enemy. People who are wrapped up in themselves fight over other things that do not matter to everybody. They make a mountain out of little things. Listen, somebody gonna get upset now. I'm preparing. Prepare yourself to get upset. When we fight in the church between having kneelers or no kneelers in the church. Oh, hello. As if God, when we are in the presence of God, we don't have to throw ourselves on our knees before the mighty hand of God. When we fight each other as to if we are kneelers or no kneelers in the church, things that does not seem to matter. When we fight each other, we are fighting the wrong enemy. You get me? Let's continue getting upset. When we fight as if there is a Jesus on the cross or a Jesus not on the cross. One little boy told me Jesus was on the cross and then Jesus left the cross, and he said, I wish Jesus would make up his mind. This is a Catholic church. Do you know our history? The history of thousands of people in the ancient church going to the arena to their death with a song upon their lips and the picture of Jesus on the cross in the vision of their minds before they go to be eaten by the lions. That is a Catholic symbol. Because we suffer in this world and suffering is real. So that when we who suffer come to our faith and look upon our God who suffered for us, we realize that suffering is real and that we are not suffering alone. God suffered for us. That is our faith. And we fight against it. because we have an ignorance of our history. When we fight one another in the church as to if Jesus should be on the cross or not, that is fighting the wrong enemy. And we rail against health care. Ooh, did I just say that? We rail against health care for everybody. Because you see, some of us who are privileged and we have money, we might have to give up some of what we have because we are our brother's keeper and we are our sister's keeper. Unless we're thinking like a sheepdog, then we are called to give up some of what we have so that others will have, you see, because the Jewish religion has 613 laws. We have 2. Love God with everything that you have and love your neighbor as yourself. Therefore, if you don't think that your neighbor should have health care, you shouldn't have it also. And if you should have it, then your neighbor should have it. Christianity is a hard religion, people. Because it faces us like a mirror. Whatever you want for yourself, you should want for the other. Because you see, whatever we do to the least of these, we do for Jesus. Whatever we don't do to the least of these, we don't do for Jesus. But when we fight against not giving somebody health care because we are privileged and we should have it and they shouldn't have it, you know what we're trying to say? That if we're rich, some people should have it, and if you're poor, you shouldn't have it. Therefore, if you're rich, you're worth something, and if you're poor, you're not worth something. Is that the God who made us? All of us have to die and answer before the mighty God. Did you do it? Did you love? Did you see the hungry and feed them? Did you see the thirsty and give them drink? Did you see the naked and clothe them? Did you see those without health care and give them health care? Because we follow a God who always hung out with the sick and the suffering and the lepers. Christianity is a hard religion, people. It hits us in our soul, in our gut, because it's supposed to hurt. Love is supposed to hurt. Whatever we want for ourselves, we should want for our neighbor. No questions. But when we fight against each other, we are fighting the wrong enemy. People fighting the bishop in the church, where the bishop is the head. We are fighting the wrong enemy. Priests fighting people and people fighting priests. In the church, we are fighting the wrong enemy. Choir not talking to choir while everybody's supposed to be praising God on a Sunday. Hello? We are fighting the wrong enemy. Parents fighting children and children fighting parents. Nobody wants to give up a note. Nobody wants to forgive each other. When we fight one another as Christians who are called to love, we are fighting the wrong enemy. Brother fighting sister and sister fighting brother. In the church, we are fighting the wrong enemy. Family members fighting one another to the point of hating one another. We are fighting the wrong enemy. One church group fighting the other church group. We are fighting the wrong enemy. Traditional Catholics fighting liberal Catholics. In the church, we are fighting the wrong enemy. Surely we can sit and reason with each other as Catholics who are loved by Jesus Christ. But we fight one another. And then we are surprised why people don't want to join the church. Who wants to join a church that's supposed to be loving one another and they're hating one another? Who wants to do that? God didn't form this church to be a boxing ring where we all inside are here fighting one another. God formed this church to love. So that as we love one another, people from outside can look at us and say, see how they love one another. I want to be part of that. But if we're hating hating one another, and we fighting one another. This one not talking to that one. This one don't want to give this one peace. This one don't want to, this one